Hello everybody, it's Catherine from Jayne Catherine on Books, and here I am today with another one in my duos series. And I realised that I'd forgotten to do these. I read the first one is The Curious Heart of Ailsa Ray, and this is by Stephanie Butland. And I've already read this with my bestie Kerry Ann from Woman vs Books, and I do believe she's just hauled another one by this author. And then the other one, which I read 3 years ago when I first started my channel, Pig Heart Boy. This is by Malorie Blackman, and this is a YA. And the link between these two is heart. So both these two books are looking at heart disease, and looking at heart disease which necessitates these two people to be on the waiting list for heart even. We're talking about hearts. They do have lungs as well done, but heart transplants. And they were both really good books. So I'll tell you a bit about Ailsa Ray. And she has got to the stage really where she's running out of time. She's needing a donor, and they both have got some very, how can I say, very emotional writing in them. Very poignant and very to the point, very, you know, there for the grace of God go I sort of thing, feeling that they give you. And I just want, have I got right glasses on? No, I haven't. What have I done with my reading glasses? That's better. I found my reading glasses. I thought I couldn't see. Oh dear me. It's because I've got so many things going on in my head at the moment. As you know, I've launched my new craft channel, Jayne Catherine Creative. So if you wouldn't mind going over there and subscribe for me, even if it's not your thing, just some support would be great. I mean, there's approximately about 150 of you that watch my videos every time there's one up. So, you know, if all 150 of you went and subscribed, that would be well on my way. That would be really nice, thank you. So I've got sewing in my head, and I've got reading in my head, and I'll be calling myself the wrong thing next. Anyway, back to these. I just want to read out two little passages from these books. So the first one's from The Curious Heart of Ailsa. It's 3 AM here in cardiothoracic. All I can do for now is doze and think and doze again. My heart is getting weaker, my body bluer. People I haven't seen for a while are starting to drop in. Good to see you, Emily, Jacob, Krista, etc. I'm looking forward to the martinis. We all pretend we're not ready to say goodbye. It seems easiest, but my mother cries when she thinks I'm sleeping. So maybe here, now, is time to admit that I might really be on my way out. And she was actually born with hyperplastic left heart syndrome. So this is a chronic condition that she suffered with all her life. And then we have in Pig Heart Boy, we have Cameron. Today I thought about the viral infection I'd caught about almost 2 years ago now. A viral infection that had affected my heart. And now, oh so slowly but surely, my heart was weakening. I'd had drugs and pills and potions up to yazoo. I had to hand it to the doctors at the hospital. They'd tried, but their best wasn't good enough. So here I was, just me and my heart, where every beat was like the tick, tick, ticking of a clock, counting down my life. Tick, 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 tick. So I think both of those are very poignant, very relevant. It's not all doom and gloom though, and you know, there are some funny moments in The Curious Heart of Ailsa Ray. She became very close to a fellow patient, and unfortunately while he was waiting for a suitable donor, he did pass away. So that has an impact on. And you very much get the thoughts and feelings of different people in this situation. So you're very aware of how Ailsa's feeling. She does this actually, she does an anonymous blog and talks about all the different things to do with her condition. And we get the thoughts and feelings of a mother. Obviously, as a parent myself, you do feel, you know, everything that she's going through. And I think Ailsa's about 18 by this time. So we get all those emotions, and fortunately there is a heart available for Ailsa, so she goes and has this surgery. And you know, I think we all should just take a moment to think about transplantation and, you know, organ donation. I think we should all consider whether we seriously would like to be involved in being an organ donor. I think it's something that we don't always give consideration to, because we think, well, you know, nothing will happen like that where there'll be a position where they could, you know, my organs would be available or whatever. But I think it's one of those things like writing a will and organising funerals, etc. Something that I think people should give consideration to. There's no right or wrong. It's not for everybody. Not everybody feels that they can do this. And it's not any judgment against anybody that doesn't. But I just think reading books like this just make you consider the situation. And it makes you realise what it's like for these people that are sat there waiting for a suitable heart to come along, suitable donors really. And we all know the sad thing that, you know, somebody has to pass away for these organs to be available. And it doesn't matter whatever age. My sister's mother-in-law is waiting for a kidney transplant, and you know, her health is deteriorating week by week, and this is the, you know, the situation, the dilemmas that we're in, and also the dilemmas of the grieving families whose loved one donate. Anyway, she's been really disadvantaged all her life as Ailsa, because she was born with this condition. She's adapted to it, she's learned to live with it, she's spent half her life in hospital. But anyway, she has this heart op, and you know, she has this rehabilitation program to get back on track. She meets a guy, she meets somebody else who is famous, and he has had to have a transplant too. So we can see the friendship and a relationship developing here, which is really nice. But the struggle she has is wanting to be independent. Breaking away from a mum. You can understand a mum is cautious, she's nervous, she's had to really, you know, her whole life has been spent nurturing a daughter that's had a serious heart condition, and worrying about her and taking her for appointments. And now, you know, she's on the road to recovery, and hopefully, you know, she's on the way to living a normal, healthy life. And you know, a mum does struggle with that, so I like that is included. It's not all about Ailsa, it's from other people's point of view. She's got this really funny friend as a mum. She's quite sassy as this friend, and you know, she puts everybody on the right track. Yeah, so funny. She's a bit of light relief, and it's not all doom and gloom. I don't want you to be thinking, oh dear, you know, this is, I'll be crying all the way through. You cry quite a lot of times, but not, you know, there's some very poignant messages in here. And I think, you know, it was a lot harder hitting than I thought it was going to be. It was a 5-star read. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, and that's no disrespect to the author Stephanie Butland. It's the fact that, you know, it's women's fiction. I thought it'd just be a bit of a light-hearted read, and no, it's very hard hitting, it's very well written. There's a good plot in there, we've got a bit of romance, we have some fat shaming in there. Yeah, fantastic. I think you should all give it a read. I really had not heard of this author at all till I came. Kerry Ann sent me this because she liked the look of it, and she wanted me to do a buddy read. We both loved it. We both gave it 5 stars. Yeah, fabulous. Now, Pig Heart Boy, this is the second time of me reading this. And yeah, this is just as effective, just as poignant, different perspectives. Cameron, you get a different story with this. So although they're both needing a transplant, this is a lad who, is he 14 or 15? 13. He's had a healthy childhood, healthy upbringing, and actually his heart has become damaged due to a viral infection. So he's going through different emotions. We've got Ailsa, who's had health issues and has not been able to live her life to the full, even though she's tried and her mum tried, from birth until 18. Whereas Cameron's had a healthy life up until recently. And so he's got different emotions. He's got the emotions of knowing what he could do, knowing what is, you know, not saying that Ailsa doesn't know what her limitations are, but it's taking some getting used to knowing that he's gone from healthy to very unhealthy, and really, unless he has this transplant, he's going to die. So we've got a different set of emotions there. A lot of what this is about is looking at the issues to do with medical research. There isn't a human donor heart available for Cameron, and the hospital do suggest that they can save his life by transplanting a pig heart. And this is quite in its infancy in here, and you know, it takes some thinking about. I think it's hard enough for people to think, well, yeah, I've got to cope with a human heart that used to be somebody else's rot, and this is, you know, a heart that's come from a pig and never really been utilised very much in humans. So, you know, they're going through all those emotions. His parents are going through the emotions. It's a very high profile case, whereas with Ailsa, you know, it's very important part of her life, but it's not in the spotlight of the media. But with Cameron, because it's to do with medical research and it's to do with animals, etc., it's a big high profile case. Now, it's strange because going back to when I first started my nurse training, I was very fortunate because I trained in Sheffield, that Sheffield was one of the centres outside Harefield in London that did do heart surgery. And, you know, as a student, I went to watch that. It used to take, I don't know, 8 hours. It was my whole shift. Stood there, I don't know, I didn't faint. Whereas now, you know, a few hours and... you know, things have advanced in those times. But they used to put pigs' valves in those days. If people need new valves, they used to use pigs' valves because, you know, the technology hadn't advanced as much as it has now, and saved a lot of people's lives. And I'm not getting into the politics of it's right or wrong. But you can imagine in this book there's a few animal rights activists that are getting involved. The media are awful. They're on, you know, they're on the case all the time, and you know, sometimes I think these people forget that there's a human story in here. These are human lives, and if it was one of their relatives, how would they feel? Would they feel differently? So there's all these topics to consider, and they're both very thought-provoking books. Really enjoyed both of them. Second time of reading. They're this. I mean, just for example, this is I've put here to do with the media. The papers are saying I tried to commit suicide by drowning myself in the local swimming pool. That's absolute rubbish. I didn't try to commit suicide. I wanted to touch the bottom of the pool and then I couldn't get back up to the surface. It's as simple as that. Some of the papers are trying to make out that I became so disgusted with the idea of having a pig's heart in my body that I wanted to bow out. But journalists will write any load of twaddle to try and sell their newspapers. So if someone tries to tell you that's what's happened, you tell them to go and play with the traffic or something. So I highly recommend that you read both of these. So that is The Pig Heart Boy by Malorie Blackman and Ailsa Ray, The Curious Heart of Ailsa Ray. I just want to leave you with this. I put here, this is 5 stars in its own right, just reading the conclusion. And I think this succinctly ties everything up and yeah, food for thought. You know, I love my books that have got you know, poignant things to tell. Dear stranger, I know I'm supposed to write to your family, but I can't bear to visualise them, the same way I can't imagine what would have happened to my mother if I had died. I hope that when the transplant coordinator passes this letter on to them, they'll understand. You're the one who registered as an organ donor, gave permission for your heart to be taken from you, and so you are the one who saved my life. You did more than save it, in fact. You created it, because what I had up until then was the best that medical science could do for a baby born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome in 1990. I mean, my first son was born 92. I'm grateful for the operations that I had and the checkups that headed trouble off at the pass. Doctors found ways to keep me alive in the hope, and it is a hope, even though that's a terrible thing to admit, that a heart would arrive and save me. Thanks to you, I'm not so much continuing my life as living for the very first time. Don't get me wrong, I did my best before. I started a degree. There was no guarantee I would finish. I went to all-night film screenings with my friends. I went to about half of the things I was invited to and stayed out as late as I could manage. I had a lovely boyfriend, a few great flings, and 1 or 2 adventures that made me cringe when I remember them. I wrote about the things that happened to me so that someone who started a few months or years after me doing the same road would have an idea what was coming and might cope better than I did. But I was powerless. I felt fundamentally like a human-shaped object wrapped around a patched together, not heart-shaped heart, and I waited with all the strength I could find for the 66 that is an available matching heart when you're too ill to embrace it. People call it bravery, it isn't, but I've come to understand that it's something. You, my heart donor, were the 66. The unlucky throw that you made became the best thing that's ever happened to me. I cannot tell you how grateful I am, but I am. My mother is too. We are all each other has. We always have been. There are other people we love and who love us, but the most of my life I was the failing heart and she was the hard way working, overcompensating lungs that kept me going. I'll be honest, I haven't completely got a handle on your heart yet. It's doing great things, pumping me up steps and getting all the blood to all the places so I can act like a real person. I'm not yet the woman I hoped that I would be, but I'm working on that. Rome wasn't built in a day. I didn't think I could save the world, but I thought I would know where to start making my life count. I didn't, but I think I do now. And the fact that I'm here now, working on it at all, is down to you. I'm sorry for all the things you didn't get to do or be. I chose not to know anything about you, which I think is, if not exactly cowardice, the opposite of the thing that isn't bravery, that kept me going until your heart came along. I think I was afraid of hearing something that I'd never be able to forget. What I do know about you whoever you are, is that there will be a small, tight circle of people grieving for you every day with every breath. Wider than that, there'll be others, colleagues, partners of siblings, friends from the gym or the pub, all suffering your loss in smaller ways. I'm trying hard to do justice to this perfectly functioning bump of ours. It seems really loud to me. I wonder if it seemed loud to you. Probably not. But I wonder if you ever thought about the noise it made, the way it moved. Sometimes I lie in bed at night and fall asleep by thinking about the happy pulse and the thump of it. It's the sort of music you can dance to. Thank you. See, I'm nearly crying now. What wonderful words written by Stephanie Butland. Yeah, amazing book. Both amazing books. So there we go. That's another couple of books in my Duos challenge. Please don't worry that I'm not going to be continuing with Jayne Catherine on books. This channel, because I've created a separate channel for craft, doesn't mean that I'm giving up on this one. It's just that I can do more things on there. I didn't want to keep boring all you bookish people out there that's not interested in crafts and sewing and creating, so I thought it was the easiest thing to do. But I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.